Welcome back to another episode of Mastering Real Estate Secrets from Top Agents. Before we begin, if you like and enjoy these videos, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate that. So today, I am so excited to introduce you to a rising star here at Vanguard Properties in our real estate world. Please meet Philip Farr. He is a dynamic real estate agent who has an unrelenting passion for making homeownership a reality and recently earned an exceptional title of Rookie of the Year in his first year and top producer in his second year at our prestigious real estate brokerage firm. So let's dive in and discover how Philip transforms dreams into addresses. Okay, so hi, Philip.
Hi, Paula. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to get to know you. I don't really know you very well, but we had a little visit already, and now we're going to jump in. And I want to start with, I did read your bio, and I've kind of, we've had some time together. And I know that you come from a multi-generational family of real estate investors, which we were just talking about. And then I wondered how that influenced you in becoming a realtor.
This is actually my dream job. I know it's kind of funny. It's like, everyone has a dream job: firefighter, police officer, attorney, doctor.
We don't have this.
Yeah, you don't hear real estate agent. I mean, when I was growing up, I was always surrounded by real estate. My grandparents did industrial and commercial warehousing. And then my dad actually did medical office space development and large multi-unit residential developments. Nice. And so they were always constantly, buying and selling and talking about it. And nowadays my parents are really into more of the kind of luxury rental space. Oh, nice. And yeah, so there are some perks in that. Yeah. And so I was always kind of generally around it. But like the story that I always tell about my dream job being real estate is back when I was a little kid, like, 5, 6 years old, back when they had open houses in the Sunday paper, right? Yeah. You go and get it. And I'd be so excited every Sunday because I'd pull it out of the back of the newspaper and go and circle all the ones I wanted to go see. And 6 years later, literally, you can ask my mom and dad about it. And I would beg them to take me to these properties to see it. And I'm like, I really want to see this one. Back then, $1.5 million, $2 million was a really big number. And it's like, I want to see this one at 7,000 square feet. And you go through all those details. And they would. I mean, they would take me to open houses on the weekends. And I used to have an architecture portfolio where I'd have mom stop the car and I'd go take a picture of this, the columns out front or the porch or the roof line. And I've always just been fascinated by architecture and homes and design. And so it took me a little while to get to real estate, but ultimately I ended up doing it. And
I just love that story. It's so cute. I mean, I've hired hundreds of people. I'd never heard that story before. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people always had it in the back of their mind that they wanted to be in real estate, but not at 5 and 6 years old and making mom go to open houses. Was that in the Bay Area when you were going? No.
So I lived in Austin when I was really little, but I did that throughout the entire time. So Austin, Bay Area. I grew up in South Bay Area.
South Bay. And so you'd go to open houses. And did you do that? I'm just going to stick there for a minute, but did you do that till you were 18 or something?
Oh yeah, I didn't. I even did it afterwards. Even when I moved here and I was just getting started, I could not afford a home of my own. I would go on the weekends to look at houses.
Well, you've been in training your whole life for this career. I love that. But I know that you didn't start out in real estate, so it's an interesting path that you took. You said you mentioned it, you alluded to it, and you were in customer service. And tell us a little bit about your back history, how you got, what you did in between your lifelong urge to be in real estate and how you got here.
I feel like the path is probably a little unconventional. I went to Carnegie Mellon and studied electrical and computer engineering.
Very unconventional.
Yeah, very unconventional. I think it basically helped train my brain in a way that is deeply analytical, and the way that I think I approach problems and solving those problems, a lot of that was trained in this highly technical environment. Because when I started at Carnegie Mellon, I was actually double major. I thought I was going to build biomedical devices. So double major with biomedical engineering and electrical and computer engineering. And I dropped out the biomedical piece to a minor, mostly to focus on entrepreneurship and electrical and computer engineering. And so I always knew I wanted to to build something, to do something. I wasn't going to be a software engineer because it felt like it would be a little isolating. I'd be behind the computer,
Right.
in my own thoughts too much.
Real estate.
Yeah, and so at the end, when I was graduating, I was, as every graduate does, they try to determine what do they want to do? Like, where do they belong in the world? What do they want to actually go out into the world and do? And so back then, I kind of nixed software engineering, even though I thought it could be a great career. And I was looking at banking and consulting as the two options. And ultimately, I went into the consulting world at Deloitte and was focused on actually cyber strategy. So still a very technical aspect of the consulting world. And I was there for, I call it a hot sec. I was a year and a half, maybe even under a year and a half. And it just felt really structured, very bureaucratic, huge company. You're kind of, at least early on, you feel kind of like a number. And I decided that wasn't the right thing for me. I could come back and start it over again and maybe accelerate that career path if I left and did something else. So I actually got my real estate license for the first time at that transition. I never hung the license. I never joined a brokerage. I never sold anything. It was just something I was, like I said,
Still dreaming of.
But I ended up going into startups. And I went to two kind of earlier stage startups back to back. The last one, and both of those, I was in the customer success side of things. So everything was client facing. I would interact with clients on a daily basis. And I think that translates really well to the real estate side of things, because I got a lot of exposure to the way that people think, contracts, negotiation. Like, I was dealing with dollars in my roles for annual subscriptions of software products. And so it's not unlike real estate in many different ways. And then at my last company, it was called Pave. It's an HR technology company. We raised a bunch of money. It was a unicorn, $1 billion startup. And I just felt like I needed another change at that point in time. I was deciding, what do I do? What do I do? Do I go do the same thing that I just did again somewhere else at another company? Do I start my own company? And ultimately, I got my real estate license again. I wasn't even sure that I was going to do it.
It had expired.
Yes, I was resat for the test. I, got the license. I was like, you know what? I think I will regret not trying to be a real estate agent. I'll just regret it. And I said, if I'll give myself 1 year, 12 months, and I make no money, I'll go back to tech.
Of course.
Okay.
You'll be broke.
Exactly. So it was like 12 months, start to finish. And
That's a good plan.
what was it? I started full-time in real estate in July of 2023. And I think I sold something within my first 5 days, like bailing on the door. Like, I need access to zip forms. I need access, to the MLS. And so that's how I ended up.
A bit of an anomaly.
Yeah.
You were training for it all of your life, so I'm not thoroughly surprised. But I think it's just wonderful how you broke it. You just you're breaking the mold, because I remember coming into the office and they're like, you gotta watch this kid over here. He's really killing it. He's on the agenda every week, In fact, you just told me, and I'll share with our audience, that you are now currently in 2 short years, right? See, 2 years full?
Two full. I mean, this may be the end of my second.
Almost 2 years that you are the number one buyer's agent in the company, with 28 billion in your first year representing buyers only.
I think the asterisk there is like for the SFAR MLS.
Oh, very nice, very nice. That's pretty impressive. So, I mean, it seems to be very organic for you, very natural. I mean, as I've told you, and people know, I've hired many agents and trained many agents, and not everyone is well suited for this career, but you've been dreaming about it your whole life. And it's interesting, because we think we should do things, but how does your heart feel? That's the question.
I'm extraordinarily happy. I always say it's the best professional decision that I've ever made to join. The thing that I think is interesting is that I think real estate gets glamorized all the shows and the media.
Oh,
but
that part. That part's very glamorous.
it's not exactly like
It's not some days.
So for anyone watching, thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna live this something sunset line," I heard, and I kind of knew that.
And now he's going to be able to sell a $10 million
Yeah, we negotiate live on the phone every day. Got $25 million. We sign it now. That of course doesn't happen, but I think overall I'm very fulfilled because I really enjoy the work. Yeah, like it doesn't really feel like work, honestly.
Right. And that's how anybody's job should feel, let alone what industry you're in, right? I've always said that. And I've been in this industry, as I mentioned to you, 35 years, and I still feel the same way. It never has felt like work to me. It's been difficult on days, of course, but it's never felt like work. I've loved it so much, So, so it's so amazing to watch you and to listen to you. So tell me, you did tell me a little earlier, but let's go back over that one, about how why you think you're so successful so quickly. Because most agents, and I don't want people that are listening to feel bad, because it does typically take about 3 to 6 months to get a first transaction. There's just a lot coming at you and throwing at you. You had a lot of background with contracts. You said $100 million worth of contracts that I think you said you were always dealing with people and contracts. But what do you think you've been so successful so quickly?
I think it's part work and part luck, honestly. Like the luck part is something you can't control.
True.
I got lucky in the way that, I'm from the Bay Area. A lot of my friends, their families are still here. So that network is pretty good. I went to, like I said,
age bracket too.
Yeah, Carnegie Mellon coming back. A lot of people moved here. They're in the tech world. They're doing big things. A lot of my extended network are founders, tech execs, long-term technical, software engineers, data scientists, AI engineers. As you read in the media all the time, compensation is quite high in the tech world. And so it's not unreasonable to think that someone who has now, been working for 5, 10, 15 years is in a position to buy a home, especially maybe they're dual income and they don't have kids yet, or they have one kid and they need a house. And so I think a lot of it is the combination of all of that. And since I was in that world,
very fortunate,
very plugged into that network and their extended network. Like I always say, you're only 1 degree of separation away from any other person in San Francisco, especially in the tech world.
So small world too.
Very small world. And so I've gotten really lucky where I have a lot of, call it champions or supporters of what I'm doing, and they've bought and sold, and now they're telling all of their friends. So I think the referral engine has started for me a lot sooner than I would have otherwise expected.
Yeah. And it's an interesting stat I heard one time years ago. I don't remember. I can't give credit to whoever said it, but they say that every person that you work with knows 10 people who are going to buy or sell.
I think that's true.
This is a good news for all of us. Okay. So let's see. So tell us what strategies and practices that you're implementing in your first year in these early years to achieve this. What do you do?
So the way I would best characterize it is I run my business like a startup.
No,
I have always approached it that way. As I mentioned earlier, I was at an inflection point where I was trying to decide if I was going to start my own company in the tech world or do something else. And so I actually look at real estate as being the intersection of those two things. It's like the dream thing that I always thought I wanted to do, and then the business and entrepreneurship side of what is exciting to me as well about the industry. And so, I sit down, I have very structured business planning and goals.
I love that.
I go.
It was one of my next questions.
Yeah, I invest very heavily in technology. So if you look at my technologies, call it stack, if you will, for my business, even though I'm only, was one person, and then I recently did bring on who I call my head of operations. He obviously keeps the lights on and everything running smoothly. We had everything from Slack to Notion to Figma to, we use Zenlist as another platform for communication. It's all digitalized. And I think part of the reason for that is, one, it helps me work very efficiently, but it also allows me to interact on the level that my customers expect me to interact on. Like my clients are technical.
Right. They don't want you to call them on the phone, I guess.
Yeah. The way, I mean, some of them love to talk to me on the phone, Paula, but a lot of it's virtual communication.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is from the psychology part of it. I want them to feel like I am a part of their ecosystem and daily working life. Like I want to be able to plug in and then, select out of different situations, and for them to feel like it's very seamless with the way that they're used to interacting and the way that they are thinking. And so, I've been told in many situations where the interaction and the way that I present things like data is just unlike a bunch of other folks that they haven't experienced in the past. And a lot of it comes from, that's my training. That's my formal training is, data and analysis and tech and selling technical products. And so I leverage that.
Yeah, that's very interesting, actually, because first of all, I'm going to just stick with my old clients because they don't expect that. Yeah. But that's really interesting because you're of a generation where, you probably grew up with a phone in your hand.
Mostly, yeah.
Well, I don't want to say, right, mostly. And, I don't know how old when I first got my first phone. So it's just so different how we approach, our career choices. So when you say you have a good business plan, did you learn that on your own, or did you get that from your education at school? Or, because most people I find don't work off business plans in real estate.
Yes.
I teach that class. I love that class.
I've taken that class. Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that I was in high growth startups and all of
that plans.
Yeah. The annual plans, multi-year plans, you're trying to get from point A to point B, and usually that is a very aggressive growth trajectory. And so you're always constantly analyzing what are the things that you have to be doing to get to that point.
Yeah. And at least some change. Yeah. And this really helps in real estate because it's exactly the same. When you came in here, you didn't have a client, you didn't have a book of business, you had nothing. So you had to start exactly from zero and get to 100 million, which you're on your way to.
Oh.
Super nice. That's really nice. Did you take any real estate courses, or do you take any classes?
I did. Of course, the ones to get licensed. Then Vanguard had a series of agent trainings. I did some trainings with Kitty Cole.
Oh, Kitty, my goodness, I've known her forever.
Yeah, she was able to. Yes, I was referred to her, and she was able to help me out a little bit, and I still talk with her regularly.
Nice.
But really, I don't know. I came into real estate thinking that I was going to try to do something totally new, something totally different, like take the background that I had in the technical world and then layer it in with really, really, really deep relationships with my clients. And the way I describe that is it's almost this, I call it an atelier. Like it's custom crafted, it's bespoke to you. Every single client gets treated differently, which a lot of people will say is unsustainable and not scalable. But I think that creates really, really deep relationships that go so much further than just the transaction.
I love that. So what, for example, what does that mean that you bespoke your client relationship?
Yes.
Just one example.
So an example of this
this is great.
For buyers, oftentimes will do mappings for each of the individuals that are buying. So not just them as a couple. Say it's a couple and they have a dog, right? And I have an example in my mind. It's not just their needs. It's her needs and goals. It's his needs and goals. It's what does the dog need? I put the dog in the search. We have conversations around that. I interact and respond with him differently than her in communication methods. Like I know that he loves to talk on the phone. She likes a text message or a chat. He's in the Zenlist app. She is not. It's just the way, she needs workspace. She needs, a kitchen and office space upstairs. That's kind of the way that I look at it. And so it's really, really granular. And And every single client gets exactly that same treatment.
Wow, that's brilliant. I disagree. I think it is sustainable. I think that's what makes greatness. There's ordinary and then there's greatness. And people who excel, they go out of their way to be different. And I've always said that. And you're different. And that's what's making you, I think, so successful so early. Because you're thinking outside the box. We get a box and these are the rules and this is how you sell real estate and these are the 10 things you do. But you were like, no, I'm going to turn that upside down. That's really great.
I know one of the things.
It's just your personality, or did you were you with that?
I like to do things differently. Yeah, I used to get in trouble when I was little for following the rules and not being exactly the way that they expected.
That's really great. Well, you're checking off my questions before I even get to them. That's really great. So let's talk a little bit about your habits and your routines and staying organized and focused, because you're new in this and it is challenging, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Tell us how that's going for you.
I think it's constantly evolving, right? And
you seem so calm and collected. Yeah. So I don't know what's
here. It's not quite.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, that's years of being climate facing. It's that if I'm panicking up here, it never will show outwardly. The way my brain works is it's just constantly spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, all the different things that I have to do or that I did or that I said or that I need to do or that I need to prepare, or is that the right price or is that the right location for them? And it's just this constant cycle of analysis.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that could be kind of paralyzing, as a lot of people will say, but I don't know. I like to call it very high functioning.
Yeah.
In my case. And the routine is, I rely really heavily on technology, as I was saying. Like, I swear by this product called Superhuman. It's an email client.
Yeah, I think you said that.
I talk about it a lot because that's how I manage my inbox at scale.
Right.
And, every morning I wake up and it's constantly just, I take time to respond and reprioritize everything that I need to do for the day. So I'm responding to text messages, I'm going through my emails, I'm sending properties that have come out to clients. I do all of those things, and I'm trying to migrate to using a CRM right now. I kind of set it up, but I'm not fully integrated into that workflow just yet. But I tend to constantly reprioritize things throughout the day and just do the things that I think are one of highest value and highest impact is the second dimension. And it's always, every day is kind of different. You don't do like time blocking. You don't do like when Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I never found that really works for me. And so every day I wish I had more structured, this is exactly what I do and this is exactly what it looks like, but as real.
Well, it sounds like you do have structure, but it's your own structure, and it works for you. That some people that kind of, I'll call it chaos, because I live in a chaotic environment too, but it works for me. I can have 100, maybe 10 things in my head going on at the same time, and I can focus and get them all done. If you give me one task, I had to learn in real estate to do one task so it was completed. But I understand that kind of thinking. So do you take a day off every week? Do you manage to? Let's talk.
No. I don't think I've taken a day off really since I started. But that's my personality type.
Yeah. Well, you start a big world. Did you take days off?
No.
So really. How does that roll? Do you run 24/7, 7 days a week?
If I'm awake, I'm usually working. To my, family's dismay. Usually they're like, you need to take a break. I'm like, I love it. It doesn't really feel that much like working, but if I'm up, I'm responding. If it's 11 p.m., midnight, it's 6 a.m.
Yeah, I love that.
The
life of red.
Responding, I think my clients would attest to that, is that, if they're sending something to me, they're getting a quality response back very, very timely. And I think that's part of it.
Well, I think your generation, so most of your clients are your age group, is that correct?
I think the vast majority are plus or minus 10 years.
And so you all want to respond at 10 p.m. and 5 a.m.
You're all up.
Say it again.
So we're all up.
Yeah, unlike some of us. And then when that's how you do respond quickly.
Exactly.
It's good. I mean, I'm learning. I like to know all this because sometimes I think, well, it's too late to tag somebody, or whatever.
I always say they don't have to read it.
Yeah, well, this is true.
They can always just ignore it and they read it in the morning but I personally feel better that I've gotten it off of my list of things
and you
to do,
Right.
as opposed to saying like, oh, I'll have to respond to that in the morning. And then you're thinking about it and then you wake up or you forget to respond. I mean, just do it,
That's right.
just do it and get it off your plate. And it's like, I don't think someone's going to be like, well, he's too responsive. Like he's too engaged, right? In our world.
I haven't ever heard anybody say that. Right. I haven't. Think about it,
Yeah.
So tell me, what's your, next year look like?
Yeah. My next year, I'm still mapping out where I want to invest more time, energy, and money into. And what I mean by that is like this year I had a series of like key projects that I wanted to take on and do. And a lot of them they were related to branding. And I'm almost done with most of those. And so next year I'm still thinking about like what will take me to maybe the next step or the next inflection point. And so I don't know 100% exactly what those are going to be, but a lot of it is centered around how can I organically get in front of more people. That's the high level mission, is how can I organically get in front of more people, and specifically the people that I have had a lot of success interacting and working with. So a lot of these people like founders, other tech execs, first time home buyers in my kind of general age demographic. And the people that I feel oftentimes that I'm most easily able to connect with quickly and form those deep relationships. Because one of the things that I really focus on is, and this is from the tech world as well, is there's something called LTV, or lifetime value. And it's not to say
Hold that loan to value.
different acronym.
Lifetime value.
It's not to say that I put $1 on every single one of the people that I know, but I have always thought about my business being almost indefinite. It's like probably till the day that I die, I want to be there with help support that, their families and their friends. And so, 1, 2, 3, 10, 15, 20, 35, 50, that was the goal. And so I focus on making sure that LTV number is a focus. And that really is providing them with that level of service that I think keeps them engaged. And I often become friends with a lot of my clients.
Yeah, of course.
It's
true. Like you become very close to people. Last question, because I know time, but this is fascinating. It's been a great interview. Thank you for sharing so honestly and openly. It's really will help a lot of people. I think so we didn't touch on social media, which is astounding to me. That do you use social media?
I have historically been very bad at social media. I'm just like taking a little bit.
That's got intricacy.
See, when I thought about social media, I had it very locked down. I didn't want everyone to know what I was up to or was traveling, or it was for my kind of close sphere or network of friends and family that I really wanted to know. And actually, this has been kind of a harder change for me to make, is now that you and your brand are one and the same in real estate, I have to open that up. And so I've made things like my Instagram public, and I'm starting to do more in Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and all of these different platforms. But honestly, it's not something that comes naturally to me. It's something that I think, of all of the things I do as a real estate agent, it takes a lot of mental energy and strain. Yeah. And just like honestly, it feels like one of the more tiring parts of my job.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't do it. I mean, you'll do some, but it's not your focus because you have to do the things that you're good at. You try those things, and I mean, you'll probably be very good at it, I'm sure. But it doesn't, if it's not a natural, organic, like you say, way of working, then you don't have to do it because you're doing great, and what you're doing is working. So you should do more of that. That's what I think.
But I want to do more of those things. I think part of it is just becoming more comfortable, but putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Well, this is a great story.
Yeah, getting the content going, and I think it's learned. Like the generation below me that's just always had their entire life publicized, and they've always been in front of the camera. It comes naturally to them, and they think each group has its own thing. So I am in the process of trying to do more.
Excellent. Well, I think I could talk to you for another half hour, but we'll save that for another interview. And I really say thank you because really you've been very open and honest and generous with your information. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
and good luck next year. I know you're going to hit your goals.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's great.